This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, this is also the Makkah Menucha of another great eminent Makubal, Moshe Zacutto, Moshe Zachus. Moshe Zacutto was born to a Marano family in Amsterdam, from Portugal. And actually, me and Rab Nassan here on the camera, we were just in Amsterdam. We were at the kever of Rab Shaul Mortera. Rab Moshe Zacutto was a student of Rab Shaul Mortera. In his youth, he studied secular subjects. And as he was becoming more advanced in Kabbalah, he felt that his knowledge of Latin was infringing on his ability to expand in Kabbalah. So Rab Moshe Zacutto fasted 40 days that he should forget all of his knowledge of Latin, and he was zoicha to forget all of his knowledge. He was first the Rav in Venice. Then he was the Rav in Padua. And then he was the Rav here in Mantova for 24 years. He was a Talmud in Nigla of Rabbi Azariah Figo. Rabbi Azariah Figo was a student of Rabbi Yehuda of Modena. In Kabbalah, he was a student of someone who learned from the Ari, Rabbi Binyamin Halevi. The Chida writes about Rabbi Binyamin Halevi that he had Kabbalah Amitis from Rabbi Chaim Vital, and the Ramaz, he was known as Ramaz, accepted Kabbalah Amitis, Soiles Nikia. Now the Chida quotes the Ramaz, a Gavaldiga Kasha. You ready? Here we are. We're in Mantua. The Chida and the Shem Agdalim brings an amazing question. The Zayar says we have a tradition. How many Parshios are there in the Torah?
64.
Very good. Gan Parshios. Officially 53. But Reb Shimon, what?
Israel.
Rabbi Yisrael is asking good. There are really 54 Parshios. So what is this tradition of the Zayar that there are 53 Parshas, there are 54? So the Chida brings from Ramaz and Moshe Zacutto that Nitzavim Vayelech, since they're always laying together, they're considered one Parsha. Then the Chida brings from another Italian Gadol. He was the Rav of Venice, Reb Shmuel Abuhav. Reb Shmuel Abuhav says that there's another Parsha that perhaps doesn't count. V'zois HaBracha. V'zois HaBracha, why? Because we don't lay it on Shabbos. Since we don't lay it on Shabbos, so that... But says the Chida, I'm going to tell you my own answer, and I just remember now it's on this week's Parsha. Says the Chida, you know which Parsha doesn't count? Tetzaveh doesn't count. Because Truma and Tetzaveh is one Parsha. L'chvoidoi shel Moshe, because how could it be that there's a Parsha without Moshe's name? There is no Parsha without Moshe's name. I know what they told you in the Cheder, but there is no Parsha that doesn't have Moshe's name. What do you mean Tetzaveh? No, says the Chida. Truma and Tetzaveh, it's all one Parsha. Now, the Ramaz is quoted when it comes to Kabbalistic practice, Legabe Tefillah. So let's say you made Slichais. Wouldn't it be convenient? You daven Marav at 9:30 p.m., you finish 9:45, and you chap a Slichas. Says Ramaz, don't even think of it. Shari Tshuva, Siman Taf Kuf Pei Aleph, Hilchas Slichais. Now, how do you remember Slichais is in Siman Taf Kuf Pei Aleph? Because it's tough, it's a tough time of the year, and coffee, you need to drink a lot of coffee. That's how you remember. And don't laugh. I once went to a shir from Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, and he asks, does anybody know in Yeridea what Siman Hilchais Dagim are in? Who knows that? You say Pei Gimel, Rashi Tevois, Gefilte fish. That's Hilchais Dagim. Says Moshe Zacutto, you're not allowed to say Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim before Chatzos. If you find yourself at such a minyan, you should sit there, Yeshev V'yidaim. You could say Tehillim, you cannot say Slichais. Vidoy, you could say. One of the things you're saying Vidoy for is for being there at the minyan. Vidoy you could say. Matzoi Shabbos, you can't even say Vidoy until after Chatzos because of Kedusha Shabbos. Another interesting place where Moshe Zacutto is quoted. On Yom Tif, you take out the Sefer Torah, what does the Chazan say? Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim. You say it 3 times, yeah? How you got to say Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim 3 times? You're not Kol Omer Moedim Moedim, Meshasken Oisai. You're not to say Shema Shema, Meshasken Oisai. So how can you say Yud Gimel Midos? Says the Ramaz in Igeras HaRamaz, the Shari Tshuva quotes it, that you're allowed to say it because it's not Derech Tchina, you're not davening, it's Kekoire B'Torah. How do we know when you're Koire B'Torah? He says, what's the proof it's Kekoire B'Torah? Because you don't say Vayavar Hashem al Panav Vayikra. You just say the Yud Gimel Midos, so it's Kekoire B'Torah, you're allowed to say it. By the way, the Aruch LaNer writes in a Tshuva, in the Binyan Sion, the same idea as the Ramaz, And he proves that when you're Kairei B'Torah, you could repeat Psukim again and again, because according to that Arizal, the correct way to be Maver Sedra is you say the Pasuk, and then you say the Pasuk, and then you say the Targum. So you see you're allowed to repeat Psukim when you're being Kairei B'Torah. Rav Moshe Zacutto, his most illustrious Talmud, the Rabbach, Rabbi Binyamin Kohen, who is the father-in-law of Rabbi Yeshaya Bason, who is the Rebbe of the Ramchal. Another Talmud of the Ramaz, Rabbi Binyamin Vitali, who wrote a Perush on Megillas Eicha. Maybe later I'll tell you something that he says. The Chida writes, he heard that the Ramaz had a Magid. And the Gur Aryeh, in his Hagoyis and Shulchan Aruch, writes, he heard personally the Magid speak to the Ramaz. Says Rabbi Binyamin Kohen, the Talmud Muvak of the Ramaz, that the Ramaz passed away on the second day of Sukkot in the year Nachas. What year is Nachas? 458. Which is what year in the Jewish calendar? 1697 or 98. He passed. So on Sukkot, it's 1697 because the new year didn't come yet. So 1697. Zchusa Yagin Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.